Good morning, namaste, dear friends. I'm here this morning in really what I would consider my hometown here in Peterborough, Ontario. And we've decided at RASA Ayurveda to start not just blogging but also vlogging, so to offer you some videos, some little sparks of presence, and the sharings of Ayurveda and the Vedic sciences as they pour through moment to moment, day to day. So we're hopeful that these are going to be impactful for the way in which Ayurveda comes to integrate in your life and truly brings things anew and helps each one of us to live a more full and free, present and love-filled life. So this morning, as you can see, it's a beautiful fall sunny day, and I went for a walk enjoying the mistiness and also the colors changing in the leaves. This is really, and always has been since I was a child, my favorite time of year. It's been that season that on some level really brings a state of contemplation and inner reflection. And there's a quietude that starts to occur, and especially for Canadians, I think it's this time in which the busyness of the summer begins to slow down, and there's a restfulness and an abidance that can be felt. Yet as I was walking this morning, there was a noticing of some of the children that were going into the nearby school, and the bustling and both, some glee and laughter. And at the same time, I was noticing a few children who were not so happy to be entering school today. And it brought to heart a few clients this week who have come to see me, who have been speaking about the difficulty of their children returning to school at this time of year, some of the challenges in the family, but also the challenges for their children, and the rising increase of anxiety, and the rising increase also for many children of stress, and some of the symptomology that children are experiencing now due to anxiety and stress. And as I was remembering back to my own times in elementary school, I don't remember that occurring as much. And what that brings to heart is a recognition of what we see in Ayurveda as ritucharya, the seasonality and the seasonal movements, the seasonal currents of the energies. And we know that this season of the autumn, of the fall time, is a season that is predominated and can be aggravating for Vata dosha. So it means both air and ether can be on the rise, can be on increase. And what that creates for us, whether we're little beings or larger beings, in age or in body, is that what can happen for some of us is that we literally feel like we're out in space, like nothing is really grounded or settled or stabilized, and that we feel like everything is up in the air. There's no constancy. We feel sort of a scatteredness, both in our bodies and our minds. There can be a great state of irregularity that's occurring, whether that's in our digestion or also in our mental fluctuations, in our thoughts, in our memory, and also in our emotional state. And so for children, returning to school in September can be a difficult one, because especially for kids who are already exhibiting some Vata vitiation, some Vata imbalance, are already dealing maybe with issues of slight anxiety, or dealing with issues of constipation, or have issues with memory or lack of focus. During this time, particularly during the season, which is interesting that we've chosen this season to send kids back to school, this can be particularly difficult for them. And so some things I would suggest during this time. Firstly, regularity. So one of the biggest gifts for Vata and to pacify Vata dosha is to bring constancy, to bring consistency as much as you can. And that's in the schedule. So having the same routine each and every day. The time we go to bed, the time we wake up, what we do when we wake up, in that hour before bed, what we're doing. Also a consistency in what we put into our bodies. So when we drink water, or how much water that we drink, or what we're drinking. Also that each and every day we're having meals at around the same time. Not just the how, having them at the same time, but also what. Not changing up food too much. Keeping food fairly, obviously nutritious and what we call sattvic, pure and balanced, but also constant. Keeping a consistency to what it is that they're eating during this time. What's also very helpful for children at this time is to have other grounding, earthing practices in their lives. So just simply being in nature before winter starts to really take on and we begin to hibernate a bit more. It's really good for children at this time to take forest walks, to take some time to be in the sun, to be on the earth, to be surrounded by trees. So at least daily, if you can get children outside with you in a quiet walk. And what I mean by that is having a time where there is, as much as possible, just some quiet contemplation, even for 10 minutes while they're walking, and breathing into all 5 senses. So feeling as though there's an ingesting, a literal respiration, we could say, that happens through the 5 senses. So, taking in life through the eyes, receiving all of the smells of what it is to be in nature, hearing the multiplicity of sounds, the diversity of offerings through sound. Even in this moment, as I hear the sounds of nearby people cutting the grass. Also, just the tastes. So the tastes of fall, having some time to taste things like pumpkins and gourds and whatever else, the kale that's still growing in the garden. And having times, of course, to feel. So to feel the coolness of the air that touches our skin, but also the warmth of the continuity of the sun, and to feel the crunching of the leaves underfoot. This is a beautiful, mindful, meditative practice that we can do with our children to bring them back to presence and to rest them out of the projectory mind, which is this mind of constant future movement, which when they enter back into school can be part of what starts to create this inner anxiety, is a feeling that they need to always be achieving or getting towards something. And so really bringing them into a simple mindfulness practice in nature. So the gift of nature is a second way that I would really suggest that we help our children during this time. And a third way today that I would love to bring your attention to is also a couple dinacharya practices for children. So a couple daily routine practices that can be done with them. And one of them for the morning time is that we can actually have our children join us in some of our hygiene practices. And one of the ones that can be wonderful for them to do during this season is nasya. So nasya is nasal oiling. So putting just 1 drop of either pure sesame oil or a nasya oil, such as the one we offer at RASA Ayurveda, into each one of the nostrils as they tilt the head back so that the oil can make its way up into the sinuses. Just 1 drop, and then have them gently massage, or you can also massage very gently in around the area of the nose and around the cheeks and the eyes. Just that massage, and even up through the center of the eyebrows and up to the forehead, can be very relaxing. But also the oil in through the area of the nose is very grounding, stabilizing, and can also help actually the brain in many ways. The nasya oil that we have formulated through Rasa has an herb in it called Brahmi. And Brahmi is excellent for focus. It's a nervine tonic, so it helps the nervous system and the brain to be settled and stabilized. It promotes focus and just cognitive calmness and memory. So there's so many ways in which Brahmi is revered in the Ayurvedic tradition. So that's one routine to start the morning, one dinacharya offering for children. And the second that I would suggest would be for the evenings. And that would be either to offer your children an aromatherapy bath when they're having their bathing time in the evenings, or to use aromatherapy, to use oils in their space, in their bedroom, or even onto their body, especially the bottoms of their feet, and also onto their temples and the top of the head and the back at the nape. These are really great places where we have marma points, acupressure points, as we call them in Ayurveda, that can be very helpful for children to stabilize. So what are some of the oils that we can use? Some very simple ones that I would suggest to you would be lavender, as well as cedarwood. And one of my favorites is frankincense as well for anxiety. But also something that's very helpful, that's a little bit more unique, that you may not have heard of before, but I would really suggest, if you can use the following two as well, would be tulsi oil, which is a holy basil oil. And lastly, the fifth one would be something called spikenard, or as we call it in Ayurveda, jatamamsi. So this blend of those 5 oils together, so again I'll mention them: lavender and cedarwood, frankincense, as well as Jatamamsi, this last one I said, and using Tulsi in that blend. So those 5 together, just 1 drop of each, and those can be put into the palm of your hand and then applied a little bit onto the bottoms of their feet, in through the temples and onto the top of the head and the back of the nape. And even into the heart center. This is a beautifully stabilizing practice for children and for us also, but you can also put 1 drop of each of those into their bath in the evening, which just both receiving those through smell, through aromatherapy, but also onto the skin, is a very powerful way that can calm some of this anxious energy and bring the nervous system back to its parasympathetic restfulness. So these are some of the offerings that I wanted to suggest today. And as always at RASA, Lisa and I really invite you at any point to send forth any questions. And as we continue with these vlogs, we would really like it to be centered upon what's serving for you. So please send us any questions, send us anything that's alive for you in your own journey of life and of health, but also of coming back to yourself. And whether that's for yourself or your family, your community, your environment, we really feel so blessed to share the offering of Ayurveda in this way. And so I welcome you to write us, to direct message us, or also to put questions up on our Facebook. So in any way that you feel to ask us for further vlogs, please do so. Okay, I hope each and every one of you has a beautiful Tuesday on this sunny fall day, wherever you are in the world, even if it isn't yet autumn in your part of the world. Much love from here. Namaste.